introduce by yourself.
Okay, yeah. So my welcome to the PGA show in the 2025 Orlando. It's cold here, but
Yeah, it's cool.
my name is Michael Neff. I'm the founder and director of GEARS Sports, and GEARS is an optical motion capture system. We're really proud to be partnered with Nobitech, and so that's who I am.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I have a question about why do you try to develop this equipment? The reason why.
Okay, so basically, there's a lot of technology out there that does body data. There's some technology that does club data, but we're the only ones that do body and club data at the same time. And the reason why I built this was because there's too much happening. I might have perfect sequence and miss the ball. So I need to know what the club is doing and how the body's reacting to the club. The only way to do that is with optical motion capture.
Yeah.
We can't do it with radar. We can't do it with inertial. We cannot do it with markerless. You have to be able to get all the data, the wrist data, the grip data, the shaft data, how the shaft is moving, how the head's moving, where the ball touches on the face, and to tie that together tie the body, we close the loop. We've tied the body to the club. You have to do it with the optical motion capture is the only way to do that accurately. And so that's why we did that. And that's really my passion of just trying to answer questions of like why things are happening. And if there's too many things missing, we have to guess. The more we have to guess, the harder it is to accurately diagnose. So the more data we get, we can diagnose better. That's why we built GEARS.
Thank you very much for detailed description. And is there any story about the toughness during the development or after the product release or the funny story or something about it? You can tell?
There's quite a few actually. We've spent millions of dollars creating GEARS. The cameras cannot move, so once we're tracking these markers to 0.2 millimeters, which is the thickness of a piece of paper.
Yes.
And I know how much the Japanese love precision, So because the cameras cannot move, and if they move, then they go out of calibration. And so we're trying to figure out so many ways of how to keep the cameras, but you also need enough of them to surround the golf swing. So we just had all these trying to figure out how do we want to hang the cameras? How do we make sure that they keep from moving? And the one story was like we kept hitting the screen, but the screen was attached to the truss, and every time you hit a ball, the truss would move, and the ball had that much power, so the system would go out of calibration so much.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to the accuracy of the system. Like it can't go, it's a technical product, but if you want research grade data, you cannot cut corners.
Yes.
You cannot have blind spots. You cannot miss. You can't have blind spots. You have to really get very accurate. You cannot cut corners. So, so now we don't attach the cameras to the truss that the screen is on also. So that's kind of a funny story.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we really worked hard. We spent a lot of money to develop this product. We're the only ones in the world that are measuring the shaft, how the shaft is moving, how the body is moving the shaft, how the wrists are twisting the handle and how that's affecting the shaft, how that shaft is affecting the head, and then what's that doing to the face mapping where the ball touches the face. We have 0.2 millimeters face mapping accuracy. So we're very, very accurate on where the ball touches the face, which is so important for teaching and fitting. So we had to have the cameras fast enough. We had to have a high megapixel and resolution to be able to measure a golf swing at 150, 160 miles per hour. And that's these days we're starting to see some of that, like really fast. And so we had to get a camera that would work for all of those scenarios. that had high enough resolution to pick up these subtle movements. And so we worked really hard to find the right formula to get it all.
I see. Thanks so much. So you're so dedicated to the accuracy. It is very challenging.
Accuracy matters.
Yeah.
That's our whole story. I mean, it's in golf, it's tricky because the shaft is bending and twisting in 3 different directions, and that happens within, from the top of the swing to the bottom is about 0.3 of a second. And there's a lot happening in there. And the different shafts bend different ways, and the head has different lofts. And we have a driver we have bulge and roll to take care of. There's so many factors and things that we needed to figure out. And we've solved all those problems. We've really done that at a very accurate level. That's the key to the whole thing, because if I'm not getting accurate data, I can't diagnose well. Period.
I see.
If I get really good data and a lot of data, my decision tree is going to be much, much better.
Okay.
And I'm going to get to where I want to go much, much faster.
Yes.
And my customers don't have to suffer.
Yeah.
My students don't have to suffer while I wait to figure out what's going on.
Thank you.
The more data we have, the better.
Yes, that's true. But at the same time, lots of data will lead out from our gears.
Yep.
So some, especially I guess initially, everybody does not understand what the number is.
Right.
And then also the too much information sometimes for the coaches.
Yeah.
Is there any story about how to teach them and how to understand them?
Anybody within the sound of my voice that says that's too much information, I would have you maybe take a different, maybe for 1 second step back and think to yourself, am I missing something? Is there something I can do better? Maybe think about that before we say, hey, I don't need all of that. I don't need data. I don't need a lot of data. It's it's a golf swing. I can teach anybody. I think we've had so many success stories on tour of the best players in the world changing these subtle things where these little subtle things make a huge difference. And without the accuracy and precision of gears, we would never have found that. So to answer your question, I would just say that if you feel like it's too much data or too hard to understand, then please take the time to educate yourself. Learn. It will make you a better instructor. It will make you a better player. We need to understand those principles, so we have to educate ourselves. So yeah, it's a lot of information. The software allows you to, where you don't have to look at all the information at the same time. It's there. You can kind of look at what you want. You can pick and choose. But all that information and having all that data will make you a better teacher. It will make you diagnose better. It will explain why does a really stiff shaft work for somebody with a very low speed, and why does a very soft shaft work for somebody with a very high speed, or somebody that rotates their body, and how this all works. Those are all things teachers need to understand if they want to really diagnose well.
I see. Thank you very much. So, but now in golf industry, gears system recognized as a very precision, high level, very, very, good equipment.
So
but to reach that, you need the story was there. Right.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why we've won all these awards on accuracy, every major manufacturer has a gear system where they measure the robots and they use it for club development and testing. This year's new TaylorMade driver, it has gears was used heavily in its development.
Okay.
And
QI35.
QI35, yeah. So I mean, the best, they're using it on their robots to figure out where does that ball touch the face, how do I need to twist that, or how do I need to design that to really get the max out of that shot. So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing these clubs becoming better and better, more forgiving, and still getting good results. But even so, the research grade, it's a research grade tool that we've made affordable for the average player, and we've simplified it to where you don't have to be a biomechanist to understand it.
Okay.
But I still have research grade data if you want it.
Okay. Unfortunately, in Japan, not only for GEARS user, but also in general, professional golf pros,
Yep.
lesson pros,
Yeah.
does not understand the importance of the data
Yeah.
or the number.
Yeah.
What is the stage in United States do you feel like in United States?
So what's happening now in the United States is that I will have a kid come to me and get on GEARS, and that 15-year-old kid, he knows, she knows, hey, I know what path is, I know what angle of attack is, I know what face angle is. They might not understand how it all works, but they know more than we knew when we were kids. So
Yeah, that's
the
true.
older generation golf pro that didn't have this technology growing up, I would tell you that the kids, they have been raised on technology. So we have to make sure that we can at least talk to them, at their level. But I think there's a real trend toward more data, more accuracy. We're seeing here in the United States. Our product keeps getting more and more relevant when that happens. People are just starting to figure out, actually does matter. 1 degree does matter. The only way to figure that out is to really measure accurately. So that's what you start to see, these subtle differences these subtle changes that make big differences that people are like, that's interesting. Now I need to think about that. So we're just getting more, there's a trend happening here where golf pros are definitely more educated. When I was a kid, golf pros were like, I never look at video, I just go play, and I'm just who I am. Nowadays, every tour player that comes to me is like, hey, I want to know how much, if I'm doing too much of that, or if this is moving that way, or how's the shaft moving, or how this is working. And they're educated. They know that, if they really want the answers, they got to go find it. So,
Thank you.
and we're really good at that. Yeah.
I hope that in Japan, it's going to be trend is happening right now.
Yeah, I think so.
And that just grows
Yeah.
to the Japanese golf industry markets, I hope.
Yeah, I see that in Japan too with the commentary. I'm starting to see more of that. One of the things that I see in Japan a lot, the golf equipment is so good in Japan, right? Very precision made. It's such good product, high level product. And I see a trend in Japan of Japanese people wanting softer and lighter and longer to get more club head speed.
Yes.
And I think that trend's starting to realize that maybe that might not work. It's possible that actually might go the other direction. So I'm starting to see a little bit of a trend there of club head speed not being really the best way to determine what kind of shaft you should use. It's more on how the club is swinging or how your wrists are twisting. There's more factors than just club head speed. So I'm seeing people starting to like, yeah, maybe we need to look at that. So I'm seeing that.
Thank you very much. So is there any plan or future dream for the golf industry as a GEARS?
Yeah, here's our future.
Yes,
so
for
our
future,
is with AI and with markerless technology improving, we don't think it's really there yet for golf, precision-wise. We still are trying to make GEARS easier to use where you don't have to put so many markers on the body. So our challenge is how do we make an accurate product with less markers? We don't think we can do that with the club. We'll make those markers smaller a little bit, maybe a little bit lighter. There's not that much we can do without cutting corners. The shaft is moving too much, too many different directions. The face is it's moving too much. It's going to be very difficult for AI to solve for the club. The body data is because the body doesn't move as fast, it's a little, and it's stationary.
Yeah.
It kind of starts stationary. It's a little easier to do that. So we're coming out with a hybrid system where you have less markers. The markers are still on the club. still a little bit easier to operate, easier to use, but still accurate. So we're not going to cut corners on accuracy. It actually requires another camera, if you can imagine.
Yeah.
So we don't want blind spots. We don't want to cut corners, but we do want to make the system more consumer friendly. So that maybe they don't want to. Maybe the pro doesn't want to use it as much because they don't want to take the time to put it only takes a few minutes, but maybe they don't want to take that, so they just don't do it, just don't feel like doing it. So our goal is to figure out how to make that friction lower.
Okay.
So we're working that direction heavily right now.
Great, thanks for the information.
Yes.
Yeah. Last, please tell some message from you to the Japanese golfer or Japanese golf industry. Please.
Yeah, I love Japan, and I love what we're doing with Nobitech and with our partnership with Japan.
Thank you.
I love the culture. I love the food. And I feel like the golf education is becoming more and more valuable. I wish the Japanese teaching pro would ask more questions.
Okay.
I feel like when we do seminars, the culture is kind of like a little bit they're not kind of maybe a little bit more scared to ask questions. We don't see that in the U.S. Some of the best seminars that I've ever done were actually in Denmark, and it was just Q&A the whole time. And we would sit and discuss things, and I want that to start trending in Japan.
Yes.
Now, I love Japan because of the interest in precision, and the equipment is so good. The people making these heads, the shafts, the hole, the grip, the precision. I love Japanese precision.
Thank you.
And because we are so precise in our diagnostics, it really does fit perfectly with your culture. So that's really what I love about Japan, and we're excited to be a part of the culture and the family, and I just love it. I love it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So say goodbye to the Japanese
Bye.
customer. Bye.
Sayonara.